Pinkie Pie X Anonymous, a love story by BleedingEquine. The tags for the story are sex, gore, comedy, dark, human, random. Pinkie Pie won't stop bothering Anonymous. All he can do is try to satisfy her the best he can. The ponies that star in the story are Pinkie Pie, Princess Celestia, Princess Luna, other characters, and the main six. Chapter with 1,681 words. A green-figured humanoid with a question mark on his forehead sat on a bench lazily. He looked towards the sky and took a frustrated breath. Why, of all creatures, he would be the one to be able to visit Equestria all the way from his home planet of Earth? Sure, it had been interesting to see the sights and meet with interesting ponies, but he just couldn't get this pink abomination off of him. Anonymous looked to his left to find that Pinkie Pie watching him with a gleeful stare. She still hadn't left him alone, and all he could do was groan. "Pinkie Pie, for the last time, I'm not gonna do that. I need some time to think about it," said Anonymous Green Man. The pink destroyer of worlds continued to watch him with those big round eyes of hers. She knew that if long enough done, he would probably give in sooner or later. Truly, she did not think this through very well, since it had been several hours. Finally realizing this, Pinkie Pie frowned. "Oh, come on! I've never seen a being like you before. Can't you just take me up on my offer?" she said with a squeak. Anonymous looked to the desperate pony before him. Such eagerness for him to proceed, and he slouched a little more on the bench. He was slightly itchy on his upper back, and it felt good to move a little to scratch it. Pinkie Pie stood up on her hind legs and looked down on the uncaring green invader with anger in her eyes. "Fine! I'll find some other green biped with a question mark on his face. Maybe then I'll get what I want." Anonymous scratched his head, even though this offer had been a pretty awesome deal, given his fetish binge back home. He still didn't want to do such a thing with a pony he deemed worst. If only it could have been a favorable choice, like Crackle the Dragon, or Prince Blueblood. He might as well accept, since it would be his only chance. "Wait, Punkapoo!" he would say dramatically, outstretching his arm to stop her defiant walk. "I shall do this for you." Pinkie Pie turned towards him with sparkles in her eyes. Anonymous ripped off his suit to showcase his rippling muscles and defiant chest. "Wait! You're gonna mate with me and create a colony of satyrs so we can rule Equestria with an iron fist?" "Hoof!" said Pinkie excitedly. Anonymous scratched his head once again, then proudly lifted his pecs to flex them with ease, each muscle stretching and moving on their own. Pinkie Pie leapt on the bench, and the both of them jumped and high-fived each other. As soon as the two landed on the bench, Pinkie Pie would stand frozen, watching Anonymous with a freaky stare. Pinkie? Are you alright? Did you get a stroke or something?" She suddenly leapt on her prey, hunger deep in her insatiable eyes. They went spiraling to the ground, and she began the love-making with a kiss. The sounds of a rubber chicken squeaking heavily and earth-shattering quakes began to assault the town. Ponies running for their lives as their houses fell destroyed. Tsunamis rushing through Ponyville, and no sight of the main six to be found. Thunderstorms and lightning bolts firing from the sky. Hot lava submerging onto the town and mixing with the water to create hard rock, barring ponies from escape. The destruction would not cease, and the casualties were enormous. "Hey, Pinkie Pie, what's all that sound?" Anonymous would say before getting a mouthful of her tongue. A sudden stop to the chicken at his incessant high-pitched assault. The rushing waves and catastrophic catastrophes slowed down until it was met with a crawl. Ponies crying and climbing out of the destroyed remains of Ponyville. Corpses sailing on the densely filled watery streets. Pinkie Pie lay next to Anonymous, both pleasantly satisfied and smoking some cigarettes that he supplied from his pocket. "Wow, Pinkie Pie, that was amazing. It literally felt like you were causing havoc on my body," said Anonymous with a puff. Pinkie Pie stood up. She trotted a few centimeters to her left and pulled a secret door from the floor. It screeched open, and she started to climb down a ladder. Anonymous sucked a few from his cigarette and watched the stars. He remembered all the times he would go online back home and get himself off from ponies. Never had he experienced such a sexual pleasure before, and it would be forever cemented in his mind what he experienced. Pinkie Pie poked up her head from her secret entrance, wondering what her mate had been doing. "Anani, come on, we have to start with Phase 2. Anonymous turned to his lover and found her poking out of the floor. It was definitely something unexpected to see. Pinkie, how did you do that? Questioned Anonymous. Follow me! We have things to do! Anonymous felt confused, but he followed to where she went and reluctantly climbed down the ladder. As dark as it was, he continued until lights flashed from enormous electrical lights in the ceiling to the enormous space before him. What he saw frightened his very core. Metal tubes everywhere with electricity and a pavilion at the bottom. He finally got to the bottom of the ladder and set his foot on the concrete floor. What is all this, Pinkie? Pinkie Pie giggled and went her way down the corridor that led to a door. Anonymous followed her till she opened the door with a nervous glee. Inside the room were 8 small containers with a green liquid within them. He pressed his face upon the glass and found the face of Twilight Sparkle slumbering in stasis. Anonymous took 2 steps back. What is going on, Pinkie Pie? What? I couldn't let my friends and the princesses die when the New World Order comes about? Pinkie smiled. She uncovered a needle from behind her hoof. Anonymous took 2 more steps back, with him cornered to the container housing Twilight. What are you going to do with that? He said frantically. Pinkie rose the needle up and in one motion stabbed it into her stomach. She then pressed the injector down to release the yellow liquid into her. You've gone crazy. Why would you do any of this for? Said Anonymous, astonished. Pinkie gritted her teeth. She could feel the solution affecting her. I told you, Nani, so we can rule the world as king and queen. Pinkie Pie fell before getting caught by Anonymous. Everything that had transpired here was baffling. She laid her head down her back and quickly saw her stomach bulging, slowly growing in mass by the second. God damn it, Pinkie Pie, you are so fucking random! Screamed Anonymous angrily. Say what you will, but you won't complain once I give you your first child, newly made father. Anonymous stood up. Now he knew exactly why he hated this pony. Yet there was some kind of endearment to her now about to take over the world with its seed. Pinkie Pie, as I am remembered why I thought you were worst pony, I finally realized what all those Pinkie fans can see in you. Anonymous shed a tear as her womb steadily grew larger. Anonymous, I love you, but you can't stay. You see, I've sent magical warheads across Equestria to vaporize the pony population. Her painful growth was a small feat compared to when she would give birth. The radiation could have adverse effects on a human, and I won't give any chance of losing you. I've supplied a teleporter to your world, and I calculated that it will be birthing over 2,000 satyrs, my love. Who will help you birth all these hybrids? Said Anonymous. Pinkie Pie motioned to the giant mechanical arm on the ceiling. Anonymous could wonder how such a large thing was not noticed. Before you go, kiss me, Anani, said Pinkie Pie, with a love rendering her pain meaningless. With a loving kiss, the sound of whirring warheads fired into the atmosphere. Now go, before it's too late! Anonymous stood up and ran his way out of the room. He looked back and saw her womb was now the size of an exercise ball. He would run to the opposite hallway, exiting the room where Pinkie Pie was, and opening the door with the words "Teleporter" on its face. He saw the large metal machine and its light blue portal. He jumped and went through in one powerful leap. Anonymous took a sip from his scotch-filled glass. It was good to have a drink after a long day. Sitting alone on his comforting lounge chair, he shuffled through his pocket and pulled out a picture. There, he could see his loving Pinkie Pie, posing in a picture with a horde of satyrs giving thumbs up, flexing, and overall being goofy behind her in the concrete place he remembered. He smiled at the sight of his children so happy, and the words "with love from across the universe" on the side of its frame. He put the picture in his pocket and pulled out the Windows laptop that sat on the small table onto his lap and entered into his favorite website and board. There, he typed a few words. Pinkie Pie, his best pony. Smiley face. He pressed enter and gave a smile. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. Princess Celestia, she's the best pony.